Welcome, everybody. I'll introduce myself a bit later, but generally speaking, and as you would have seen in the description of this presentation, I mean, the idea here is for us to share how we have been using GenAI in the adoption of SFIA in our organization. And what I'm trying to do through that is try to give you a bit of a demonstration of the process we've been through, tools we've used, and yeah, our experience. I don't know. I don't know if we've enabled people to talk. We can talk probably later, and I'll rely on Amy to help me with that with that later. As you can see, there's three of us normally in the call. You should be able to see that. We're going to have different roles. Q&A, probably, if you don't mind, type is enabled. You can type questions on that. I probably will struggle to answer them straight on the go, so maybe we'll keep that for the end. The chat as well is there. So I'll be able to address some of those questions maybe after, once I've basically told the story and showed you a bit the tools and what we have done. With me today is also Andrew. Andrew is the person which is in charge of our GenAI enabling tool internally and also effectively as a product. So he's able to talk to you about it if you need across the presentation when I'm telling the story. So don't hesitate to reach out to him. In the meantime, I'll focus on the story. All right, so let's crack on. So we don't have a lot of time. I can be chatty, just that you know. Some people already met me, so I talk a lot. I'm French originally. The idea here is for me to take you through those points. So briefly, what we do, and so that you understand the context on why we've done the SFIA, or where we are on that journey with adopting SFIA, that approach that we've used, what tools we've used, and how does it help us, and what's our way forward? I mean, what are we focusing on? Okay. So quickly about us. FITA, so we are a reasonably good size consulting company in New Zealand terms. There's about 300 of us. We've been in the country and forever. So the company effectively been founded in 1995. Grew up to be now a known player in the market normally. And we've got a lot of different profiles, a lot of different skills, a lot of different specialties, let's say. Well, a few of them, let's say. And we do spend quite a bit of time and a bit of effort on making sure we've got the relevant competencies to address the market. So that's by spending time and investing into our consultants and make sure that then after they deliver the best outcome possible for our customers. And you don't know, I mean, New Zealand is a very small market in the end. So if we want to stay in business, we better be good. So that's what we're aiming for. Me in there. I've been in FITA since 2011. So I'm coming to the end of my 14th year in the company. I've done many different things. Lately, I'm more focused on architecture and integrations. And when it comes to GenAI, that's quite important topics these days. Make sure they've got the right architecture and the right integration. And I've been a follower of SFIA since 2005 or 2006. I've been doing that I've been observing and trying to understand how we can leverage from that framework for a while. And I've been trying to push that internally also lately. I also had the pleasure of getting to know through the newsletters that we do now a SFIA Foundation exam, and I've managed to effectively pass the exam last week, I think. And it's a really good exam to effectively validate after a bit of a self-study that you understand the basics of the framework. So about us and how did we do that adoption? So quickly, our choice has been to do that one step at a time. That's the first thing, is try to make sure we anchor the right things as soon as possible. So here for us, that meant that as a consulting company, we wanted to start by making sure that we acknowledge the fact that we've got a diversity of roles, different diversity of specialties. But fundamentally, there's a few things that we need to make sure we got right in the first place. First, I mean, it was to understand how we express the core of SFIA, and we understand the core of SFIA, which is the levels of responsibility, and how do we create the language? How do we express people? What are these? And so that's focusing on understanding that maturity curve and how you've got a greater impact. So these are just standard SFIA content that you can find online. Then after, as consultants, we focus a lot on effectively the soft skills and the interaction with our customers, and that's where the generic attributes have been our first focus. I mean, before trying to go and dive into, we do have a lot of different types of profiles. The first thing was to make sure that we speak the same language as well when we talk about the impact we're bringing to our customers and how we behave. And this is where it was a bit of a shock when we moved from trying to start the journey and reviewing SFIA 8, and then after we exploded the business attributes in terms of all of the different skills and different behavior. But indeed, it is a good move for us to effectively understand more in depth what we talk about when we talk about the leadership capability, the planning, the digital mindset, all of that, those attributes, to make sure that our consultants are able to match that. By all means, let me know if I'm going too fast, raise hands or things like that. But for now, I'll crack on. So last, I mean, it's focusing on all the 147, I think, or something like that, number of skills, and that's probably something we'll do at a later stage. Currently, our evolution is we are at trying to make sure that everybody understands at least how to self-evaluate on the generic attributes. We haven't gone far as trying to apply all the different professional skills and go to that, and that's later on in the journey. So how did we start? We start by effectively trying to understand from those different levels and the material from SFIA, how can we understand that? So we understand the delivery, we understand the different contributions of the people, the leadership versus people management, and it happens to be that in our organization, without effectively using SFIA from the first place, we had originally already 7 levels of people inside our organization. So you start indeed by the first person that walks through our door and starts working with us. It could be that it's a very junior person. In that case, that's what we call a level 1 consultant, all the way to the practice manager. Practice manager, you can see that as a business unit manager or an area or a specialty manager, in that sense that has the responsibility of that strategy of the whole part of the business that focuses on digital, on data, on on business applications, these areas or specialties that we have. So this is kind of the first baseline we try to set, and it's by no means to say that it is the final decision or where we're going to land. It's just to start somewhere and give a reference point to say, we think that if somebody is to evaluate themselves on a given attribute, they should consider that roughly based on the descriptions of the impact that we have from SFIA, somebody like me, which is a practice lead, probably needs to has a first level, for example, in that case of assuming you can see my mouse, of first line management, that I'm normally considered proficient in my area, and I'm able to do that. I'm able to create policies or lead execution of those policies. I'm not leading the whole business in that or the business area, but this is where I am. As opposed to somebody starting in my team, which will be more at an apply level or something like that. So this is where we started. Try to put a reference point in the ground, and that we will review as part of how people are going with our self-assessment in our review cycle in that sense. So, like many people, we do have that yearly performance review process, and so what it means is we wanted to bring SFIA into that process, and therefore try to understand how we create the awareness, how we get people to start embracing the content of SFIA and how to demonstrate its benefits in terms of creating that ubiquitous language on how do I talk about what I am, what am I contributing, what's my impact, what am I actually delivering for the business, for FITA, for our customers. So we needed to enable effectively people to have those conversations. So we had an attempt to try other tools such as skill stakes. It didn't really stack up with us. It didn't really create the engagement we wanted. So what I then after try to drive is, okay, what about if I can have the right conversation with the people to effectively enable them to understand the framework. And in that case, enabling them to do the framework was to take in first that there's no such thing as a stupid question, or there's no such thing as trying to understand that, no, that's actually not what it means, and feeling stupid about the fact that I don't understand straight away. So that was one of the premises to that. So, and then after came, how do I enable people to understand how they should self-assess? I mean, is there an order? Is there anything like that? Then after there was, how do I know everything about SFIA? There's a lot of documentation about SFIA, but how can I access that in a easy to consume way? How do I enable to start, eventually consider a certain way, restart another day completely, or understand that the self-evaluation I have about me today is going to be awfully different than the self-evaluation I'm going to have of me in 6 months' time, on a year time, and whatever in between time you want to have. So that was another consideration. As the manager, I wanted to create a space where the employees would be able to go along and effectively try to express themselves in an environment where I don't need to know about what kind of stupid question that they asked before. If there was a stupid question or not, that's not for me to know. What's for me to know is at the outcome of that, I need to understand how they perceive themselves, or what's the levels they can see from themselves, and then after we can have a discussion about why, and then in that sense is what it is they think they've achieved, and that I'm able to assess myself where I think they are. And obviously, I mean, there is a strong element of respect of privacy, and they can have that type of conversation with something or with an assistant in that sense that will be able to do that. So the way I've tried to spin it around multiple times, in the end of the day, the GenAI conversation assistant effectively came straight away as an easy answer to that. So what it means is that in the context of that assistant, they can ask any question. As the manager, I would not know about that. But they are access through that assistance to the whole framework, to the whole knowledge. They can effectively engage with them in different ways, and I'll show you what it is. And then after, at the end, they can say, yep, give me what Manu wants. Sorry, most people call me Manu, but give me what my manager wants, so that I can effectively use that into the performance review cycle. So now is the time I pray. So this is where we're going to go through, effectively going through the tools, and I talk, but you're going to see what I'm talking about effectively. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing 1 second to share my screen. And I'm going to share this screen. which you should now be able to see. Okay, so this is Fita Assist. It's the way this product allows us effectively, us internally, but if people want to use it, is your private GenAI in that sense. So yeah, you can ask all the questions you want to about and to Andrew about it. That's not my content. My content is how we use that. So don't hesitate to ask him. I'm going to focus on the SFIA side of things. So I've, as a manager, I've created two different assistants. One which is for effectively somebody to be able to create their own self-assessment, and another one which is for the manager to close the loop once the person has done their self-assessment. How did I create that assistant? Not very difficult, per se. My assistant is based, like many of the assistants, on a mega super system prompt. It has access to some documents as reference information, so which in my case will be the SFIA framework itself. And then after, and there I can do over many things. And it uses, I think in that case, I'm using GPT 4.1, and I can use eventually other tools inside that. That's thanks to Andrew and his team. So how does that work? Well, it's easy enough. I thought here, this is the assessment part. So here I'm going to be John Smith, a consultant, and I'm starting fresh. And you can see that I can have my own self-assessment, and that's my real self-assessment, which I did of myself back in March 2025. And I can now start a new thread, and I am on a new thread, and I can start my evaluation. So where do I start? Well, I'm a bit lazy and typing. I do type all day. So I'm going to try to use dictation, and hopefully I'm not going to screw that up. Hi, I'd like to start my self-evaluation. Start? Yeah, sounds better. Yeah, and I should shut up. It's the same. So the nice thing with GenAI is that it's clever enough to understand I can make mistakes. So here you see the tool is based on SFIA v9 in that sense, and try to guide the conversation with the employee. So here I've got the option to effectively go on a discovery. I've got access through the assistants to the whole SFIA framework, as I said, so I can try to discuss what is this, what are the SFIA attributes, or what is anything I want to know about SFIA. Effectively, I could ask. But here, either I go and ask for that overview, or I can go straight to start with any kind of attribute review. So we'll try not to waste too much of your time, and I'll start with a review. Let's start the review of the attributes. It's comforting me that my weird accent is still understood correctly. Oh, almost. All right, so here I'm on autonomy. So I'm starting with autonomy, and it's talking to me about, okay, when you're talking about autonomy, and I'm talking about, and I need to stop maybe the dictation at this stage. When I start about autonomy, and this is how the level of responsibility do apply, and this is how I should understand what follow means in the context of reviewing the generic attribute about autonomy. And the level of effectively guidance I need. So here I can try to say, how can I do that? Well, I don't know. No, let's try that. I normally deliver projects on my own. I will review and produce high quality deliverables for my customers. Last time I was working with the Department of Conservation, sorry. try to read conservation. And conservation. And I did deliver a full project in 3 weeks with review and agreement from the customer signed up with within a couple of days. So I'm trying to describe a situation. In that case, the GenAI agent is going to try to say, it looks like based on the way you describe, maybe you're already enabled. Can you help me confirm what it is? And how do you see effectively the fact that you are able of delivering in that context? I'm going to remove voiceover. So the idea was behind when I created that assistant was to say, well, just not taking things at face value is asking you to talk about it, trying to engage with it, try to confirm the engagement that you had, the metrics you're proposing, so that what effectively supports your self-assessment to this level. So confirm. Do you think you're gonna? Yeah, I think my colleague we're happy with that. I didn't really look for more guidance. I think that's the right level. Indeed, I think I didn't require any more overseeing of quality by others than just my own. So I think I can confirm level 4 is best fit for me in that case, and would like to move on to the next attribute. Well, I'm sure it's going to be a tribute, but so yep, moving on, and I can do that for all the different levels. So just disabling auto dictation for now. I can effectively go through all the different attributes like that and how that conversation where I engage, I can justify, I can effectively pull information from the framework or provide additional examples and have that reflection with the agent to understand where I am. I can also try to expedite the process. Reviewing the different attributes, I think that on influence, I would be a level 3. Yep. This is where I need my cheat sheet. Let's go with that one in the meantime. Oh, that's weird. Here. I'm gonna open a review. Just moving that out of the way for now. Okay. Cool. Yes, level 3 seems applicable for influence. I think that on complexity, I will be a level 4, knowledge level 4, collaboration a level 5, communication level 3, improvement mindset a level 4, creativity a level 3, decision making a level 4, and I don't know about the rest. All right, so oh, I'm not sure how the Sims got in there, but so here it's still telling me that I'm missing some of the attributes. So it can effectively stop there, resume later, come back another day because I don't have the time, because I don't have the evidence, because I don't have enough content. And for now, I can see that summary table. So show me the summary table of my skills. Probably should say attributes. My attributes and their levels. So I've got the full table. Now I can also say export the result for my manager. So what it will do is what I have and may have not shown yet is I have set a template similar to the one that you briefly saw in Word. And what happened is that what it takes is passes the conversation, get the outcome we've discussed, and return that curated content effectively for me to review and approve, keeping the human in the loop with my employee, with my manager in that case. Sorry. So I've opened that thing, and what you see now is this is how it looks. So it has been prepared by Fitasis. It knows me because I'm logged on to the, what I haven't showed you is that this is logged on, so I can log on and understand what I'm doing. Here it has my self-assessment. It has links to the original framework, so you don't see that here because Word is not that great to display links. But effectively, if I click on that, it will open the SFIA website on the autonomy so that I can understand what it is. This is my own assessment, and this is where I am. All right. So that's the first part. This is where I came to provide as myself, as an employee, an assessment of myself. All right. So what's the next part? Well, as a manager, now I would like to be able to review that content. Hey, I need to log in. So I need to be able to review what my employee has submitted me so that I can close the loop with him. So in that sense, I'm going to start. You see that I've been doing reviews of a few of my employees. I can start a new thread again. I can take a file, and I'll try to find a file in one of my folders. So that's obviously. I'm going to go to my demo folders. I should have some reviews somewhere. SFIA demo. I don't know which one I took. Sorry. It's trying to make sure I provide, no, not a real one. I'm sure I had a demo somewhere, but I just can't find it, obviously. It's where you should practice the demo. There you go. I've got John Smith. So I've got John Smith there. I've got his review, so I can put it in there, attach the file. So this is John Smith, is one of my employee, and I'm the manager that need to review him. Help me with the review of John. Maybe let's call it a review. Cool. So in the background, so this is, I'm going to show you the file I've uploaded. Okay, cool. So this is the file I've uploaded. You can say it's been, nope, not that one. Oh, sorry, wrong one. The self-summary. It was a self-summary I was looking for. Okay, my bad. Not that one. Okay, let's use anyway the one I had before. Sorry, I should be more prepared. So let's use the one we just created. I'll create a new thread because that one is, I don't want to pollute the context of my agent. And I'm going to take this file. I'm going to drop it here. Let's review this consultant. So here from the file, it's going to pick up the file that the fact that it is a review of myself, because it's reading the document basically, and says, okay, you want to review Emmanuel, and we're going to do a step-by-step review, or you want to show currently what's there, or you can ask perspective and all that. Just let me try to get a better one because I'm not sure that's the best approach. Should have another one somewhere. Let me try to find John Smith. I'm sure I've got a John Smith somewhere. There you go. Cool. I've got John Smith. That's going to be better. Okay. Review. So again, same thing. Would have picked up here that it was for John Smith. So how do I want to proceed? I can just start from the top, or just review. Well, have a glance, see how much did John score himself at. I mean, I have already an impression from the assistant that tells me that is largely at level 4, but show me a summary table, probably a good idea. Show me a summary table of the different levels assessed by himself or self-assessed by John. So that's how John sees himself. I haven't reviewed that. He's probably saying, okay, maybe I should review some of them. I'm not sure where that review flag is coming from, but that's the beauty of GenAI. Sometimes to have the human look to review. Says, okay, cool. Roughly, I can see that he's my friend John sees himself as a lead consultant and all of that. So let's review step by step. Let's start the review with autonomy. So here it will go and says, okay, our friend John assesses himself as a level 4, and I have reflection prompts as a manager to see and review what I consider to be a level, what I should look for, sorry, in a level 4, so that I can ask the right question. I can check how I perceive as well the contributions of John. And actually, for John, I'm not that sure that he's a level 4 on that enablement. Level 4 autonomy. I will ask a question simply to the bot about, to the assistant, sorry. Oops, sorry, wrong screen. Can you show me a summary table of the different prompts between level 3, 4, 5 for the autonomy attribute? So here it should go and try to understand, okay, if I'm talking about autonomy, this is what I should look for in terms of prompts for the different levels of maturity when it comes to autonomy. There's different ways of doing that. So I can also can you show me a side-by-side comparison of that with more characteristics per levels? And same thing, so we'll be able to provide a table with trying to say, if you're looking at the type of supervision, the type of descriptions per different attributes, because it's just for autonomy, but it will try to guide me towards this is what it is, and try to give me how much, or prompt me with questions about how I do set the levels. And I can effectively agree in the end with as well, reviewing that and how he operates. I think it's okay. I think it's probably a level 4, so I can comment on that. As his manager, I can attest, or I can justify the fact that John operates at level 4. I've seen him contributing in different projects, such as in the Department of Conservation. I'm going to get it right one stage, and being able to drive the project on his own and providing regular inputs. Regular updates about the progress of the project without any further contribution or any further assistance from me on key decisions. Not sure it's going to make a lot of sense out of all I just said, but we shall see. Cool. Really good. I don't know how he makes it that with all that word salad that I gave, but that's the beauty of GenAI. So what does that mean? So I can go level by level, sorry, attribute by attribute and assess to a certain level until I'm able effectively to ask it to produce a uh, a summary table. So let's ask for the summary table. Show me a summary table of my current review progress. So what it means is that here is going to try to create a table I've reviewed, and as you can quickly see, I've been able to John's self-assess himself at level 4. I see him also at level 4, and there is a summarization of my word salad that captures what I have provided. So I can go attribute by attribute and show you that, but I don't want to bore you to death. The point being that same thing like the other one, I can say, I can be very brutal and say, I agree with all the other self-assessments of John and have no further comment to provide. That would be the lazy manager. And then after I can ask the export as well. Export the review. You can see that the assistant's proposing different things, and it can be very creative. So I haven't really locked it down so much. So here, same thing, it's going to try to match whatever I said to the template I've provided. So then when I go and open that template, yeah, okay. So it seems that we got an OpenAI bug. But if we can re-export, cool. Second time lucky. And should open somewhere. Yeah, it opened. And so this is what it is. And because I didn't provide, oops, sorry. That's I'm on a Mac. Sometimes I got weird behaviors. So as a manager, so myself, the manager for John Smith, I have effectively been able to capture that this is how he was perceiving himself. This is how I assess he is in terms of the reviews of levels I provided. I didn't provide a very strong comment for the others, but for the ones I did provide a comment, he will be able to talk me through that. So what happens next is I have my conversation as the manager with John, and we go through that table and try to understand, okay, what actions or where do we see things that we want to address through additional developments actions effectively on, or where do we disagree, or where I need more evidence effectively to understand that yes, indeed it should be level 5 or level 4, whatever it is. I can justify the demonstration of the competence in that sense. So that's roughly what it is. Hopefully that was successful. That showed you what it can do. I haven't moved further on that one. Okay, now going back to the presentation and sharing my other screen. Cool. So in the end, the demo gods were not too upset with me. It's just that I need to have probably more practice and have documents ready. But you should have seen the majority now of what is in my little assistance. So thanks to Fita Assistant to be able to offer me that. Yeah, sorry, there's a few comments you can see about sharing as well. So you can share the reviews. One thing I haven't showed you is there, I've got links to the specific thread. So I can go back exactly to the assessment that has been done in that sense and the conversation are kept, so I can go back, as I said, back and forth and come back to my review later. And if I am in the conversation with my employee, I can go back effectively to say, at that point in time, I came up with that evaluation because of this, and I can go back to my history and my thread to understand this is what drove me to this conversation or to this assessment. I can choose to share or not. Okay, so why did we do that? Effectively, what I wanted for us or for my team, for example, was to make sure. Okay, that's fine. You shouldn't see my did some minuscule thing. Anyway, what I wanted is to make sure that we have a good understanding and an expectation clearly set of what I think is part of their role and what I think is a senior versus a lead versus a principal versus a junior that just started, what we call an L1 in our case. I wanted also to make sure that they understand that if we are talking about in the future moving on to another role, between my team, between another team, there's different things that they will need to address, being if they want to become a lead in data or a lead in digital development, and there's different things that they need to do. So being able to highlight these would be the expectations on the role is very important, and understanding from their perspective, but from my perspective as well, and that we can illustrate that through actual competences. Now, also being able to inject that content in the development plan, identify those actions that or corrective measures should there be a need for some to meet their expectations of the level of the role, and also understanding as well by creating those definition and that questioning effectively on the different levels of maturity per profile or per competence or per attribute, the things that I don't feel comfortable I want to be. Some of my direct reports will say I don't want to effectively engage in such events as a SFIA thing, and I don't feel comfortable talking to many people. Unfortunately for me, I have no shame, so that's why I'm doing that in front of you today. But so yes, though there's the pros and the cons. So you need to understand your role and what are the expectations, and you need to understand the next role and what are the expectations and what you want or do not want to do. That's what we want to illustrate through that tool. So where to from here for us? Effectively, the next steps for us is to go that last part, last mile. It's not necessarily the easy one, but let's try to understand how we can use the rest of the professional skills to isolate the key skills that are required to define our job posting, well, our job description in that sense. Is when I talk about having my solution architects or my integration architects or my integration consultants, and the different levels, how do I create the different job descriptions to integrate all those different skills, and how do I then after expand further by enriching our assistants, our GenAI assistants, to understand then, okay, cool, you're talking about this type of role, so therefore I'm going to use this description to help further effectively the consultants to self-assess and introduce them into that reflection loop we have through the GenAI assistant. That's about us. That's what we're going to do in next, and hopefully that was helpful to you guys. And that's as much slide as I have, and I spoke way too much. Bye.